Big Blue Nation, so excited to be back in front of you. It is officially season 2 of A Giant Issue. I don't want to waste any more time. The Giants are back to work at training camp. I'm back to work on the mic. You know I can't get anything started with a new season without bringing in my guy, Emory Hunt. You're not going to want to miss this. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue, New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information from. Go over there, check out everything we're doing. If you haven't seen something I've written, then you're not on New York Giants on SI because I write a lot of stuff over there. You probably saw some other places too where they just be aggregating my work. I ain't going to say nothing because I appreciate the love, but you know how it gets done. Also, make sure you go over here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, even hit the bell. That way, every time there's a new episode of A Giant Issue that comes out, you are notified. Look, I know there's been a lot of little small videos as we do our videos that go as our companion pieces with our work. That doesn't mean you got to look at all of them. We appreciate it, but make sure you're looking right here, right? Make sure you're coming in, checking in, locking in with your boy. I always appreciate it. You know who else I appreciate? My main man, Emory Hunt, football game plan and CBS Sports extraordinaire. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine, man. Always a pleasure to jump on the show talking ball.
Absolutely. And we're back to talking real ball now. Like no more of the pretend ball and the what ifs and they're back on the field right now. Today was the first day of Giants training camp open to the public. All the media was on hand. All the fans were on hand. Everybody was excited. I love this time of year because if just for a few weeks until the pessimism sets back in, everybody is excited about their team. And New York Giants fans have reason to be excited. A new era with the quarterbacks, upgrades on defense, upgrades on offense, upgrades to the depth. I feel probably the best that I felt about this team since, probably in a long time. Because, that 2022 team was an anomaly. We both thought that they would regress in 2023. We didn't necessarily know if the wheels would fall off like it did, but we knew that they would regress. But I feel good about the direction of this team right now, and more importantly, the players that they have on the field.
Absolutely. And when you think about this team on paper, you look at the offensive line, you look at the defensive front seven, you have to be excited about the potential there. And then the potential at the receiving core, just based off the strength of who they've added at quarterback in both Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, two veterans that are definitely floor raisers. And it allows you then to work behind the scenes and develop your rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart. And so just on its own, the fact that they are able to run the ball, they have a quarterback that can get the ball out. They have a quarterbacks, plural, that can get the ball deep down the field, which will showcase the speed that they have at receiver. And on defense, they have a versatile front seven that can get pressure, which makes things easier for guys in the secondary. And just seeing a healthy Paulson Daboll out there is great to see because now it helps balance out the secondary. Javon Holland is a fantastic player. So optimism is real going into this season for Big Blue.
And that's all we can really hope for, right, is optimism. We want people to feel good. It's just always so crazy when you see so much negativity come out. Like, I know people are like upset that Andrew Thomas is on the PUP list, but why care? Why would you be upset right now? I don't want to see him in preseason. I don't want to see him in training camp. If he has to sit down now, even if he has to miss 1 to 2 games to start the year, if you get 15 weeks of Andrew Thomas, I'll take that over getting 8 weeks and then another 4 where he's not healthy and then you got to shut him down, right? Am I tripping there?
No, it's true. It would be different if it was a guy that you had questions about that starts on a PUP list. So the fact that you have a known commodity that is your best player along the offensive line, none of this should worry you or concern you because you're right. I'd rather get 15 than a truncated 9. Piece together 3, break 3, break 3. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he's that guy should concern you little, because you know what he's going to do once he get out there on the field.
And it's worth mentioning that the last time this team was viable, was good, he played a full season, right? That 2022 season was one of only 2 times in his entire career where he's been healthy for the full season, outside of that first year where he wasn't very good. So we can't count that because he wasn't good then. But since he's been the guy that we believe is one of the best tackles in the game, he's had 2 seasons. And in both of those seasons, or in that last season that he was 100% healthy, or at least healthy enough to answer the bell every week, he went out there and performed. And the team, you saw the difference in the way the team performed. And you saw what happens when he goes out. We saw it in 2023. We definitely saw it in 2024. We hope to not see it in 2025. I want to get to something that Brian Daboll said. He came out during a presser today, and it's weird too because I haven't seen any video of the presser, which is really, I don't know how this happens, but no video from the presser. But he said, when asked about the quarterback situation, he flat out said, Russell Wilson is our quarterback. I'm trying to figure out, does he have, is there something about him that's averse to competition? It seems strange to me. And I've had some really jovial back and forths with Coach Daves. And so this isn't like me trying to take a low key shot. I would say this to him in his face because I think coaches just taught that way. Why do you think it is that he felt the need to make the announcement that Russell Wilson was the guy right now, instead of opening it up and saying, you know what, let the best man win?
I feel like in this case, he's looking at past accolades and making that decision, right? Super Bowl winner, 14-year vet, future Hall of Famer, coming off 2 solid years statistically, got his team to the postseason last year in Pittsburgh, and we know he got railroaded in Denver, although he played well statistically in Denver. So he's put together a consistent career, and he's also not one to have you scratching your head in terms of the turnovers. So in his mind, it's like, hey, this is the high floor we got. Boom. Let me get this out the way. And so therefore I can earn Winston can earn my trust in terms of how he protects the football, how much he protects the football. And then if Russ struggles, I can feel confident to go to Jameis Winston, as opposed to trying to go and make this a competition. And then Winston goes out there first and turns the ball over at a high clip. So he's probably protecting not only Winston, but also himself, and just looking at accolades. Like Russ is a little bit more like a coach. I can put him out there, and he's more of a known commodity than I can't think of the term, but just looking at Jameis and thinking okay, it could go either way. Although I like the highs, I just don't want to deal with the turnovers if the so come. But with Russ, I know the turnovers more than likely won't come, and I know our offense can at least function consistently.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a risk averse type of situation for Coach Daboll, because he's seen so many turnovers, right? He's seen how it looks when you're giving the ball away. But I can't help but think that in training camp, and see, I think this is the interesting part, right? In training camp, Jameis Winston's not turning the ball over a lot. In training camp, Jameis Winston's going to dime you up. Why? Because there's no heat, there's no pressure, there's no anything, and there's no need to prove I can make every throw. There's no need to put the team on the back and play hero ball. That's the stuff that's gotten Jameis Winston in trouble in the past, really, right? Is trying to believe I can do it all myself. I have the arm that can throw us back into this game, so I'm going to laser this ball in between 3 defenders. And like I'm one of those, like I'm Angelina Jolie off Wanted. I'm just going to curve the football around all these defenders, and then it gets intercepted or it gets knocked down or whatever, right? But in training camp, you don't have to worry about that. There is no game to win. There's just going out there and playing football, free and loose. And nobody plays football free and loose better than Jameis Winston, right?
There was one throw today that, to your point, it was where it had dual outs, where the running back went out in the flat coming off motion, and the tight end that was attached went out in the flat too. So it was sort of like, okay, read progression, like where that defender is going to go. He's going to jump out to the back, then I'm going to throw short. Is he going to kind of stay in between? Then I just throw it out to the flat, right? Jameis threw it. The guy kind of played both, and so the tight end is in between two defenders. And I thought the ball was, because he got the ball out quick. I was like, oh, he's throwing it to the flat, to the running back. Because I'm standing right there where the running back is, coming out.
Yeah.
And he threw it to the tight end. I'm like,
yeah. Zipped it through.
But the tight end had to catch it above his head in between two converging defenders. It was a bad read, but a great throw.
Yeah.
But the best throw and the better read would have been to the back and the flat. But Jameis got it to Dulcich, who went up. He didn't even have to jump up. He just went up ahead of the two guys and had the strong arm in the way. So it's those type of throws you like, but it worked out. So you move on, but your heart does skip a beat. Like, oh man, that's a, that dude's going to either get knocked out. That's going to be an interception, but it was complete. And it actually was a good place pass with velocity. So the receiver can make the catch. So it was like, he conflicted in how you feel about it. But, on the stat sheet, it's like completed pass. But in the coaching room, it's like, man, like, I understand why you did that. I don't agree. It worked, but great throw, like good catch. Like it was all kind of, you would have been all over the board trying to, coach that up.
Yeah, that would have been one of those, no, yes.
Right.
Right. Like we see that. And I think you brought up a great point, because in the film room, you're not getting a check mark for that. You're not getting a plus. You're going to get a minus for that. Hey, listen, I know that this is a completion. That's a minus, though, because you were throwing that against dudes who are not the dudes. And our starting linebacker walks underneath that and picks it off for a touchdown. Like Bobby Okereke walks underneath that, takes it back the other way. Xavier McKinney playing at second level safety. He's walking underneath that, taking it the other way. So you have to understand, that was a completion. Yeah, you have tremendous arm talent, but what's the risk reward there, right? The reward was a first down. It wasn't a touchdown. It wasn't like it was it's a first down. Meanwhile, juxtapose that with Russell Wilson, back run. I think they had Wan'Dale Robinson in the backfield. He runs the wheel route out the backfield. They run the in breaking sit route with the wide receiver on the short side. He lets it go so early. I didn't think he was throwing it to Wan'Dale. I thought he was throwing it to the sit. And then you just see it sail over the head of the sit and drop right into the basket of Wan'Dale Robinson for a touchdown. And I think that type of understanding of risk versus reward is probably why he looks at it and goes, yeah, let me just give it to Russell Wilson, because Jameis Winston is the ultimate wild card, right?
Right.
We know we can put him in there and he's going to get it popping. Like, he doesn't need to warm up to anything. He's going to come in, he's going to get it popping. But if I've got this safe option that can possibly show my rookie quarterback who has some of that Jameis Winston in him, hey, this is how you can carve out this 13, 14-year career where you're one of those ones. I think that's what he wants him to see more, as opposed to seeing the Jameis Winston, I'll throw this ball through a brick wall and complete it to a tight end for a 7-yard gain, right? Like, that's not what he's on. So, and it's interesting because Jackson Dart had an interception that was kind of the same thing. He tried to throw it to a short route. He said he told a reporter that he saw the defender. He just thought he could get the ball there. Clearly, he was wrong. And I wanted to say, to me, I love that, right? I want to know what you think about it, because I loved it, because that's what practice is for. What did you think about not only the play, but then the accountability afterwards to say, hey, this is what I thought, but this is what it really was?
And we'll see if that accountability shows itself on the next time around in that same situation, because Coach Daboll talked about that in the pre-practice presser, saying, it's all about repeatable errors. Like who makes less repeatable errors? That's how you can gauge development. And so for Dart, when you're faced with that situation again, will you make that throw or will you throw it away or will you try to go to another option? So that's what I'll have to wait and see the next practice that we're going to. And on the interception itself, what I didn't like about it was he stared that way the whole time. So he's facing that way. And yeah, you could probably see the guy, but by you thinking how far away he is or how quickly your route is developing, you're drawing the DB who's running toward the route faster than you believe it can get there. So you're still making that throw, not realizing you're bringing him back into the play. And recovery and reaction is that much quicker at the NFL level than it is at a Power 5 level, than it is at a Power G5 level, and so on and so forth. So that's why I can't wait to see tomorrow what the changes are in terms of his process and see how quickly he doesn't have those repeatable errors that Daboll talked about.
Yeah, and this is the liability that comes with adjusting from a one read offense, right? This is what people were saying when they said, "Hey, Jackson Dart's going to need some time," because he came from an offense where it was a one read and go type of offense. People kept trying to show us, "Oh, well, no, he don't just one read. His progression." It's like, yeah, but primarily it's one read, and now you've got to retrain your brain to think differently. And that might take a little time, which is why I think it's crazy that so many people think that Jackson Dart's going to be starting here sooner rather than later. It's like, but why? Like, why do you have to do that? Why not just allow him the chance to learn without let him fail all he wants in training camp and in practices, as long as he's not making the same mistakes over and over again. Let him build up that dossier of information in here so that he can quickly go, nope, that's not going to, yep, nope, that, boom, and then throw it, right? Like, that's what we want out of our quarterbacks, to go, no, yes, or yes, no, yes, right? Like, we want them to answer those questions in real time so fast, but the only way to do that is for them to go through it and see that it's wrong, know now it's right, and then go from there. And hopefully he's not a stubborn child, right? Hopefully he's not a stubborn child. I burnt my hand on the stove when I was a kid. I did it once and I never did it again. I know some kids who you have to keep them away from the stove because they will constantly burn their hand on the stove. It took me one time, boom, oh snap, my hand is on fire. I'm never doing that again, right? Let's hope that is the way Jackson Dart is. And to your point, if that is the way he is, then we'll see the improvement immediately, as you're going through training camp. I can't wait to see it live for myself. I'm glad that people like you are out there. Lawrence Jackson was out there today. He got some really good clips. I know that there's people out there who understand what they're looking at. And so when I go out there, I'm not really concerned with what a bunch of different people are saying. I'm only concerned with what a few people are seeing, because I know that they know football. They're looking at it the way we're looking at it. Speaking of that, we're looking at Andrew Thomas on the IR, on the PUP list, which means that he can come off anytime. But Joe Shane said that he thinks that he'll be ready for the start of the year, but isn't like 100% about it. This is why they went and got all of these tackles, right? Like they brought in 2 tackles in free agency. They drafted another guy who I still think is maybe a guard, but they're going to train that tackle. Like, this is what it's for, right?
Yeah, and you want to make sure you give yourself enough of a cushion or enough of runway to allow that guy, your star player, one of your cornerstone players, to work himself back 100% to get on the field. So there's no rush. And at this point, it's July 23rd. There's definitely no rush. He's not learning a new scheme. He's not learning a new offense. He has already been entrenched in what Daboll wants to do. And he can do his job really well. So there's no reason to rush. If anything, this gives you what you want as a GM. You're getting guys more reps, and as a coach, you're getting guys more practical, functional reps. Like, hey, I work with the ones. Hey, I work with the twos. Hey, I went in on short notice. Hey, I had to kick down inside that guard to then, make moves there, right? So you're getting all of that right now in training camp, as opposed to having to figure that out and what a guy can do during the season. Now, granted, this is padless practice. It definitely doesn't matter right now because you can't really block or anything like that. But the fact that you're getting guys out there and getting those mental reps, it's all good. Again, I don't know why. I think to a man, if GMs and coaches can rest all their starters, they would, because you don't want to run that risk of injury. This is not like college where you have a 5-star behind you and then a 4-star behind him, where, okay, yeah, we lost a CJ Baxter, but we have a Trey Wisner, we have a Jaden Blue, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have that luxury, although you should. The Eagles do. You don't have that luxury at the NFL level where, you can just waste your starters like that. So I appreciate Joe Shane saying, yeah, and then giving himself a little bit more wiggle room. Like, yeah, I don't know if it's 100%, so if he has a great idea of when this guy's going to be back, but he's not going to put it out there. Because if he says something hard line and it doesn't happen for whatever reason, any setback, then now he looks like he's lying or doesn't have a good idea what's going on. So I thought that was savvy, and it makes all the sense in the world for that particular player.
I thought that the draft this year was the closest I've seen this team come to not shopping while they were hungry. It was the closest I saw them. I thought the Jackson Dart move was a little bit of hunger. They didn't hunger pains. They didn't have to reach for him. I don't care that people are telling me that the Rams are going to take him. Like, to me, Jackson Dart's not a plug and play starter. So it wouldn't have mattered what team he went to. He wasn't going to be the guy right now. So, like, outside of that, though, everything else that they drafted, they already had in place. And so it made the draft feel as if, oh, they just took this dude because that dude has a chance to be really, really good, or in the case of their number one pick, special. How is it just even in shirts and shorts, right? Watching Abdul Carter like just leap off the line, like that twitchiness is a different level. I don't know if it's better than Burns, but it's already at Burns level right now, right? He's more twitchy than Kayvon, right? He's more twitchy than Kayvon, even though I think Kayvon has more power than Carter has. And maybe to a certain extent, even Burns has. They just use their speed to power a little bit better. But man, just watching him when he takes off, like just that initial burst off the line, like when you see it live, what does it look like to you?
It looks like how you would expect an NFL athlete at that position to look. And it's funny because I was talking with Lawrence Jackson Jr. of NBC Sports. When we're standing right by the edge rushers as they're going through individual drills, and you're just looking at the body types, right? Burns walks by, looks like Usain Bolt, you know what I'm saying? And then you have Abdul Carter, looks kind of in between Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Kayvon Thibodeau has gotten, got better weight on him now. At first he was a little bit lean, got better weight on him. And you look, and I told him, I was like, man, it's funny when, as a draft analyst, and you're breaking down prospects for the draft, and again covering all of the small school guys and all that stuff, and you see some small school guys tweet out, "Oh man, I'm underrated right now," and they sleeping on me. But then when you look at body types and you see what works in the NFL level, there might be a reason why
there's a reason,
right? Because if you don't have that body type, then you better have that productivity. There was and I talked with Lawrence, I brought it up. I was like, well, it's funny because my senior year in college, we kept hearing about, the draft and whatnot. We all kind of followed the draft. That year we spent God knows how many damn lunches and dinners arguing between who was better between William Green and T.J. Duckett, right? That was
Uh-huh.
the big debate. But then we had the newspaper because that was back when newspapers still mattered, right? So we're looking at like because as we're going arguing, Willie Green over William Green over T.J. Duckett, we look at NCAA interception leaders, and we see this dude that had 13 picks. He was like, wait a minute, that in a season? Like that's crazy. Like I don't care what the dude tape looked like. I'm
Yeah.
drafting him, right? It was Rasheem Mathis. It was like so you didn't even knock it because it came from Bethune-Cookman. It was like, bro, that's 13 interceptions in a
Yeah.
season. So you better have that level of productivity. And again, Rasheem Mathis ended up going the first round because he was like 6'2" with ball skills, right? But saying if you don't have the body type of an Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, or Kayvon Thibodeau, you better have the productivity of a Dwight Freeney, right? And also be explosive like him, right? So there's a sliding scale. But when you see, there was one play in particular where Russ scrambled out and it was trying to get to the corner. It was inside the 10-yard line. He's trying to get to the corner, and the close Burns had on Russ, it was like 3 steps caught. It was like, damn, like and maybe we're looking at 35-year-old Russ trying to get the corner, but that's still 3 steps from a guy that's legit 6'4", 6'5", and then you see Abdul Carter stand next to him. It's like, man, and this is the part I brought up about the Giants in their heyday under Parcells, when you have Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks, Gary Reasons, and you think about what that length does across a second level, right? You take away so many passing windows, you cover so much ground that the quarterback has to be a quick decision maker, an accurate passer, and Lamar Jackson fast to beat these guys to the corner. And so I can see the Giants recreating that. And even I'll give McFadden some credit today for the pass that Russ completed to Wandell. It was actually good coverage because he leveraged the route and had it pinned, but Russ made the perfect throw.
Yep.
And then there was another play in 707 where McFadden was like about 2 yards away from the target, and by the time the ball got there, he had closed on it and ripped the ball out. So it was like, if you got the length at those positions, just to the original question, looking at Carter and how he fits in, it looks different. And when you put all of that length and explosiveness on an NFL film filled with closer hash marks, the amount of ground they cover in such little time, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it makes you think about when you had Strahan and OC and Tuck and JPP, like all just to just throw wherever you wanted in the line, and being able to come at offenses with wave after wave after wave of athletic pass rushers, because the guys that they signed, those guys have that versatility to be able to work inside or out. So like you can put a line up, hey, you know what? We're not getting what we need to get out of Burns and run defense. Okay, well, let's bring in one of those guys who are a better run defender in these obvious rundown type of situations. Give Burns a blow, give Kayvon a blow, give Carter a blow. And now when it's time to go hunt, you're bringing in fresher bodies to be able to just go and strike like cobras, instead of them having to do all of the heavy boxing and boom, boom, boom. And you know what I'm saying? Like now you're getting worn down. So when it is time to go hunt, you're just tired because you just took 3-4 body blows that you're still trying to recover from. So it's a part of the depth that I really like what the team has done in the offseason to build up the depth and what they have on the defensive line and on the offensive line. One of the things to be excited about. I'll get you out of here on this, man, because I'm not gonna lie, this bothered me until I started like thinking about it, right? So the New York Giants released what they said: new faces at camp, bringing you all the content, our first training camp creators series. And everybody, all of the creators that I know in this space for the Giants, And I've been working in the Giant space now for, this will be year 5 that I'm working in the Giant space. So it's not like I just got here, right? They were all in uproar. And I started looking through the names of some of these creators: Shiggy, Side Talk, the Hewlett Brothers, Jazzy, Jersey Joe, Eli Mack, Daniela Mora, the Scarlata Twins, Sports.ish, and Jay Muller. Like, this is not a diss to them. I've only really heard one of those names, and actually 2 of the names, and only one of the names I've heard that has anything to do with sports, right? Like Eli Mack, I've seen Eli Mack work with other teams, but I don't really remember him doing a whole lot of Giants content. And so I think a lot of the content creators looked at this and said, oh, how could you point these people out without recognizing all the stuff that we've been doing boots on the ground every single day? Then I said, oh, this isn't about the ones that are doing the content creator. These are people that they're putting in place to do Giants content for the Giants. And I went, oh, this ain't about us at all. What did you think when you saw that list? It had to be a buzz at training camp when people were talking about it.
It was funny because I ran into a couple of Giants creators at practice that were watching, from the fan stands and along the barrier. And to your point, these are people that are actively Giant content creators. What I think the Giants was doing, and it's kind of cool when you think about it, when you zoom out a little bit and think about it. Hey, we're going to get guys that excel at creating content, and get to your point, let them do Giants content and leverage their followers and fans, because some of these people probably have millions of followers and fans across TikTok, IG, Facebook, and Twitter, right? So we're going to get them to leverage their fans and talk about the New York Giants. And secondly, we're going to get unbiased, content created by people with high leverage followers, because what you're going to get from a Giants content creator is going to be heavily pro Giants all day. Like, they could do no wrong, which in a Giants case, yeah, you kind of want that type of propaganda pushed out there. But how cool it's to get people that's unaffiliated with the Giants to do content. So what they see for this team this year, this edition, is going to be crazy, right? So you get to see the deep ball get completed and they doing content, right? You get to see the fast, running receiver downfield. You get to see the Abdul Carter play, right? This team was not built like this last year for this type of content to be created, because it would have been a bad idea. Now you have better quarterback play. So you get to see the full gambit of all the weapons, and you have a lot more athleticism on defense, and you're going to see better play. And if you got people that have millions of followers across all social platforms creating content off this stuff, it can go crazy and get more people excited about the Giants. And you may turn one of those folks into a Giant fan, and now they're going to always want to do content with the Giants because it's cool to be out there. It's fun out there. They're good, And so I think that's the thought process behind it. Because, yeah, it would have been easy to go and get all the creatives that have Giant podcasts and do a great job with production. Some do a great job with social. Some do great jobs with analysis. Some do great jobs with storytelling. That's a given. You can always, scratch that itch over there. But I thought this was marketing genius by the Giants.
Yeah, and here's, like, when I took myself out of it as a Giants creator, I realized I'm not going to go out there and talk to Abdul Carter about what his top 10 favorite ice creams are, right? Like, I'm not going to talk to Malik Neighbors about what dances he wants to do when he scores touchdowns. That's the type of content that I'm not necessarily looking to do. And then when I started looking at a lot of the content creators, I went, that's not really the content they're doing either. I do believe that it was a miss for the Giants to not add some people who were in the lanes that they already exist that people know about. And just to use myself for an example, if you wanted to bring someone in that was really going to be able to make content on like X's and O's and play breakdowns, like, I'm sorry, like, I love Bobby Skinner to death, but it's me. Like, it's me. Like, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to be able to not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. I can demo every position. I can go through, and if you were going to do content like that, that's me. But I'm not going to go out there and ask people what they're eating for dinner, and like that's just not that's not my jam. So like, whose jam is that out there, right? Like, who are the people? Who are those known names? Is the entertainer going to get out there and start talking about the top 10 favorite movies from different things, or what's one thing that they're afraid of in the dark, and other stuff that these content creators that they have are probably going to take the onus off of the football field and go to things that bring in the average Joe who may not want to listen to like a lot of football analysis and breakdowns, what I would give, what a Skinner would give, and those others in that nature. They don't want to hear the complaining about how bad the team has been for the past 5 or 6 years, which it's a lot of what these content creators in these spaces do. So they went out and got names and got people who are going to come in and give fresh perspectives that, like you said, may not have the most vested interest in like what's happening on the field, but are going to bring in large bodies of followers who are going to listen and consume that content. So like, applaud to them. I just thought that there was a way to do both, and I think that the Giants missed the boat. Because if you bring a Bobby Skinner in to do, some film breakdown on practice, he does that really well, right? That's a great lane for him. You bring him in and do that. That could just be one of those. I've never heard of any of these people doing any analysis or breakdowns on anything. So I felt like it was a way to do both. I know that content creators are out there upset and maybe feeling a little bit hurt. I'm gonna give y'all this advice, and this is the advice that I, myself, and Emory Hunt, and everybody that rolls with us, this is the advice that we always give. If it didn't happen, put your head down and go right back to work. Because what else are you gonna do? You're gonna sit around complain about it, or you're going to get back to the business, as it is.
I will say this, just to give advice to everyone out there creating content. And maybe one of the reasons why they went this direction is, listen, you can't be creating content and keep saying player X or coach X sucks.
Yeah.
Publicly. Don't think they don't watch that stuff.
Absolutely.
And so don't think they don't remember when you walk in there. It's like, oh, you say I'm worse than garbage, right? And because you know how when you're a content creator as a fan, you can't escape the fanism, the fan voice. You can't escape that. And so you're watching this emotionally, watching the game emotionally, and a guy throws in, oh, I told you he sucks, he stinks. We need to go draft this guy in the first round. Like, it's 14-38 left in the first quarter. Calm down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so maybe they want to take the emotion out of it and just get to the content creation. And if you are focusing on just the content creation, everything else gonna fall into place.
Yeah, like how are you going to go up and talk to Kayvon Thibodeau about the things he likes to do on his off time when a lot of you think that he should be traded or like released, or like how are you going to go and talk to Evan Neal about the things he does, in the summertime when all of y'all done is just bag on this dude ever since he's showed up? So that's a great thing. Like, sometimes it's the way you play that takes away your opportunity to be able to get into these worlds. But I'm just gonna say, for me, I ain't did none of that, so I don't know what's going on. Giants, holla at your boy, right? Holla at your boy. I'd love to have been able to do some content underneath that Giants umbrella for selfish reasons. Like, let's just keep it a beam. For selfish reasons, I wanted to have the Giants so I could get like even more access than I already have. I want to be behind the line that's behind the other line, right? That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Emory, I really do appreciate it. Emory Hunt of CBS Sports Football Game Plan. Don't forget, you can still get your hands on the Football Game Plan 2025 Draft Guide. It's the industry standard. As like they just added more players, right? As they add more players, I can almost guarantee you every new player that you see that's a rookie, you're going to find in the 2025, 2024, 2023, 2022, 2021 NFL draft or pro football draft guide from this man right here, Emory Hunt. Emory, I really do appreciate it, man.
Always a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. That's Emory Hunt, a Football Game Plan, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again. We'll be back. It is season 2. I'm so excited to be talking real football again. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I've got a giant issue.